Next little beauty that's arrived in the workshop, this Gen 1 Hayabusa engine. This is for a factory build. You'll see that build start very, very shortly. This is from Rich at RLM Racing. We do all the dry sump systems with Rich now anyway and stuff. Does a great product, and this one has been tweaked very nicely. Been on a dyno, makes 198 horsepower at the wheels. So, you know, stock Gen 1's about 155 or something. So it's had different compression pistons and cams and that done in it as well. And running these lovely Gen-V throttle bodies as well on it as well. So rather than the stock ones, you've got a set of Gen-Vs, very light. And also running MBE management issues on it as well. So you'll see that build progress, but dry sump system already on it, engine's already built up, like a carbon effect cam cover on it as well. Nice killer engine. I mean, 198 of wheels. Mr. Steggles will know what that feels like. When you mark, a very, very powerful engine. And I'm sure when it fits in there, and Charles, when you see the build go, he'll be loving it on track, loving it.
Right guys, what am I standing over here? I'm standing over one of our Indy R chassis, built custom really for this customer here. Gonna have the awesome Hayabusa engine in it. Now that is a Gen 1 Hayabusa, but it has got a little bit of spice in it. It's 198 horsepower at the wheels, this bad boy. She's got Gen-V throttle bodies and that. It's all going in here for Charles. So we're starting this build. We've got the roll cage in here. Now what we're going to be doing is starting with brake lines, fuel lines, floor pan fitted, getting all the engine prepped and getting it going. So you're going to see this build progress just like the others are. So going from all the way from this up into these stages to a fully built car. So follow that with progress. Don't forget to press the subscribe button and you'll get to see this awesome vehicle being built each week.
What we got to here, as we said last week, we're on with fitting the brake lines, fuel lines, pedal box and all that onto well, it's going to be the Hayabusa engine in this one. It's a big horsepower engine, as we know. We'll show you a bit more when the engine goes in. It's 198 horsepower Gen 1 Busa, so a bit more. So Dylan's on with fitting all of the brake lines, riveting those in. Remember when we put these rivets in, I'll just show you on our one. I'll pull it out for you, but we always use little sealed head rivets so there's no water ingress into the P-clip, securing the chassis. And when you're doing them, it's in the manual, making sure that they're IVA compliant. This is going to be a road legal car, so, you know, needs to be under that 300. We aim for sort of 200 sort of millimetres between them, making sure you do that. Nice clean lines right the way through, front and back, billet pedal box going in, brake lines, brake tee and all that going in. So the chassis is on its side because he's going to be doing some riveting. Then we'll flip it over, get the floor plan on, and then diff, and then this, and then that, and then woohoo, all the bits will start coming onto the car. Right, Indy R Busa. On with Charles's car here, you saw from the other week, we're getting on with some bits and bobs on it. This has got the RLM 198 at the wheels horsepower engine, which I know we can't say enough about, but we know that Rich and his team do a sterling job on building those engines. Can't say enough about them really, to be honest with you. So what we've been on with, well, all the front ends on, all the push rod rocker suspensions on, that's all in. This is having a poly bush instead of a rose joint chassis. But all the billet pedal boxes in, all the prop shaft is in, all the reverse motor down here is in with the reverse sprocket. This goes to a 338 differential, so it's a Ford push-in shaft, 338 differential, which is perfect gearing on the Busa. Gives you about 127, 128 mile an hour, roughly, depending on tyre and wheel combination sizes. But rear end's all on now. Got the lovely Protec aluminium dampers on there. All the uprights, the billet bearing carriers are in that we use. Standard rear calipers on the front. It's going to have wheelwoods on the front. Got standard rear discs as well. Fuel tanks all buttoned up as well. All the rear interior panels in. We've got the fuse panel in with our loom that bolts in here with the fuse box. It's all accessible on this one. All the fuses behind there. So it's nice and accessible. All the relays are in. And now Joseph's just hooking up. We're just starting with the new dry sump tanks. We spoke about these the other week, guys. These are for sale. It's a new one that we have made specifically for us and for these cars. Will fit other models, of course, other kit cars, but that's going to be mounted in here. And we use a rubber lined bracket here. These are going to be used to hold these tanks in. We don't solid weld them in. We've got these rubber lined tanks that bolts it into the bulkhead. It just helps with it, and the battery will fit down in this section as well. So quite a bit going on, quite a bit of build progress, all the floor pans in as well, and little bit wiring looms all cable tied up in here and ready and fixed with all the fixings as well. So progress being made, brake lines in, the whole lot really. So cracking on with that. I think we're on with the front uprights next actually, and the tank. So the front uprights will go on, and then we'll start on body panels and bits like that then as well. So yeah, we're cracking on with that. Can't wait to hear this thing when it gets running, and I'm sure Charles is going to be bursting at the seams to get it out on track. So we'll try and build it as quickly as we can. Right guys, standing over here, we're on hashtag Project Charles. Well, progress, building it, cracking on each week, as you know. So a few bits to mention. We've got the SBD throttle bodies on here, SBD filter. It's running MBE management and the loom, so we're on with the wiring on this now. It's going to be an absolute tool, this car. Yeah, all the wiring gets cracking on with it now. We've got all the exhaust headers fitted. We've mocked up for the exhaust silencer that's going on as well, which is down here. So that will fit on nicely onto there in a second, and we'll make the exhaust bracket for that. So that's just finishing off, but that's our stock Busa headers. What are we on with? Well, you see the billet front uprights and the brakes, all of them done. So very nice bit of kit with the wheelwoods on there, all in. What's this running? Mintex 1144 pads in there. We've got the 2.4 quick rack in. You saw the other week, the oil cooler and the radiators, that's all kits in. Plumbed all the dry sump. We've mocked up the steering column. This has got a collapsible column here, and then we've got a race boss, a quick release boss up here for the freehold. This is also going to be having flat shifter, which is the next thing we'll do, the install once we finish the wiring here. But all the float chambers are in with the low reservoir pots. Another IVA compliant thing, guys. If you've got these pots, you need to put these little float level indicators for IVAs. This is going to be a road car. Water coolant lines in. I'm going to speak about coolant lines in a minute on another setting, but side panels fully bonded on, rear tub fully bonded on and fitted. As you saw, all the rear ends pretty much buttoned up now. Brake calipers, rear hubs, billet bearing carriers in there, all brand new dry shafts. Got 338 LSD, and it's a pushing shaft. It's perfect gearing with a 205 on these. Ends up about 128 mile an hour gearing, which we kind of think works best for these. You can go to a 314, tends to kill it on actual drivability everywhere. You might get a little bit more top speed, and maybe with this one you could, but 128, 130, plenty quick enough in these. So nice little tool. So yeah, Project Charles is cracking on, and this is the wiring diagram we're using, which has got it all in here with a booster for the K8. So it's a big old thing that we work with it on there as well. Runs our standard loom for all the other auxiliaries, so the fuse box and all that's in there, so that will all tie in. Side panels, they're all bonded inside, handbrake levers in, handbrake switches in, handbrake cables are in, all the power lines, battery kill switches. So yeah, it's cracking on. It's cracking on. If you're wondering why the engine cradle is not powder coated yet, we've done that for a mock-up one, which was going to do something with the paddle shift. We've got a new powder coated one coming on for that. But yeah, you'll see that progress, and then we'll move over to the next project. Right guys, we've had a few requests about Hayabusas and plumbing in the coolant system. So this is a dry sump engine, which you know about, we've been talking about. I'm going to give you kind of how we do it. May not be the right way, may be the wrong way, but this is how we do it and what works for us. So we have a dry sump system on this, so we get rid of the water pump, which is down here, and it has the dry sump pump in. So what we have to do is a water pump delete on that, and we run a small little Bosch electric water pump here. So normally the coolant would come from down here when your standard water pump on a Busa, if you're running a standard setup. But on this dry sump system, it's out of a 90 degrees, and we come from 25 to 19. So 19 mil up to a 25 into a Y piece that is here. Then this Y piece will be your fill, and it comes up to your header tank wherever you mount it, which is there. This then runs 25 mil. We only use 25, not 30, 32, 25 to the bottom hose, and that mounts off the radiator bottom hose here. Then the top hose, so from the hot side of the engine, will run along and mounts in, as you can see, under your thermostat housing here. Now we do remove the thermostat housing in there because we run an electric water pump. And then off of this, for a breather for a T, we go into a T here. This again goes back to your header tank with an 8 mil, and then runs forward to the top of a radiator. Now it depends on your radiator setup. You may not have this system where you've got a bleed at the top, and you may be just bringing the T-piece from here to the top of the header tank. But that is the basic setup for a wet sump system. 25 mil, top and bottom outlets, 8 mil return from the top of the rad to your thermostat housing, and with a T-piece to your top of the header tank. But that's running the little Bosch electric water pump in there for you. Right, standing over hashtag Project Charles here. What have we got going on? Well, lots of other little bits. As you can see, the wiring's going in, the ECU. We've got the flat shifter system going in here. That's a little box for it. And then we've got the actuator. It's going to be hard, I think, to get in there. But you can zoom in down here. There's the actuator arm for the gear lever that is going to be for the paddle shift on here. That's all bolted in. We've got a little bit of refining to do. We do when we set that up. That's been doing and wiring, etc. on there as well. As finishing off. The front wing stays, these have been bent for the wheel and tyre combination that's on here. So it's got to be coming off and be paint or powder coat on those as well. And then we've got Peter on the back here, is working on it now. Wheels and tyres, he's got the beautiful, beautiful CXRs on here. And we're mocking these up now for the rear wings to go on as well. Back end buttoned up, as you know, on this with the fuel cap and all of that in. We've also done the centre tunnel, that's on this. It's a GRP one instead of the carbon. That's all cut for the handbraking mechanism to go in as well. But mainly Josie's been fiddling up because we're basically connecting up the MBE management on this into our standard harness, because this is going to be a completely road legal car. Although it's going to be a track weapon for him, completely road legal. So we're on with that, button it up, and then we'll start on with the rear lights and other bits and bobs that get tied in for Charles. So yeah, a little bit more progress. Oh, boot cover as well. That's been all fitted on. We've taken it off because we were working on the back end, but all the boot covers been all fitted. The vinyl boot covers that we do, same as what you see on this one. Lightweight, like a bit of weight saving, rather than some people do the a panel that sits in there. It's just easier access as well. Right guys, standing over hashtag Project Charles here. Been on with some wiring, as you can see, quite a bit of wiring. It's in the mock-up stages at the moment. We're just checking all the features work on it, which it does. And I'm just going to pull something out there, out the way in a minute. There's our loop wire. Right, where are we, have it? Well, we've fitted quite a bit again on this one, same as Project Charles. So all the lights and the lenses and everything else went in last week, as you saw. It's got the clear lens pack on it with the LED lights. Well, do you know what? They're operational now. So let's fire them up. Put side lights on. So we've got the side lights here, all nicely done, and indicators and everything else should be working. We'll just put the hazards on. I suppose it's the easiest way. Shows them. Fog light and reverse light is all operational as well. And the tail light is under there. That's all working. So we turn them off, and we've got these nice black switches in here as well, which all light up nice and blue. And the hazard red, obviously, when you're putting it on. This is for reverse, these two. And we've got the old horn in there as well. They're all working. It's got the Digi-Dash 2 in it. So this one here, it's going to, all the dashboard's been cut, but that's all in. So we've got the Didi 2, which shows everything from, it's great little kit, oil temperatures, pressures, everything else, all your warning systems, indicators, all your IVA compatible stuff that you need for all your lights and lenses and everything else, that's all in. So all the headlights and all that, these are all pre-wired up, these are all working, we've just got to finally bolt them up. So all the electrics are really done now, and it's just start a case of buttoning all that wiring up and tidying it up and running it in all conduit under the dashboard here, neat and tidy. So it's not far away from looking at, sort of not far from firing this up really now, because it's running the MBE, so we're just trying to splice the MBE in with our stock loom and run it in with a Digi-Dash 2, because it runs slightly different sensors, but high powered booster, as we know. So yeah, it's cracking along with that. All the electrics near enough buttoned up now, and all the flat shifter, that's the last thing to wire in next on the steering with the paddles as well. So that's coming along quite nicely. We have mucked up all the wing stays and everything else here. They're not on the moment. We don't do that till the last knockings really, because you keep walking into them and it hurts. So that's why we don't do it. No other reason, but they're all mocked up and ready to go as well. Right, here at hashtag Project Greg now, again, buttoning up and wiring's been done on this. And again, at the same time as that one's starting, this is also looking in the next 24 hours. That'll probably be in the next session that you'll see this start up, because most of the wiring has been done. A few little tiggery bits, stick some fuel in there, some super duper special stuff, and then press the go button, hopefully you should fire. But we've been on with other things, like we've bent them wing stays ready to go, no different to the other project, and these will be going on. The very nice pre-peg carbon front wings, CSRs that go in there. This has got the button indicators in the side. This is going to be an IVA car, whereas the race car won't have those, not requirement at all. But the other thing that's gone on is the nose cone this week. This is the newer version of the nose cone. You probably see here that it hasn't got this bulge section here. Fits flush and flat to the side panel. And we're going to be mounting it slightly different. It's got a different under tray section here as well. So it mounts underneath the side panel, so we'll be fitting it in a different way to make it a bit more of a cleaner line down the side here, whereas the other one's got a slight little bulge, but it's the first one out of the mould, that one as well. Bulkhead panel's gone in as well with dry sump tank, oil catch tank, header tank, same as on the other one, standard fitment, really nice aluminium stuff. That's all gone in. We started to mount things like wing mirror brackets for IVA, these are being mounted. Seats have gone in, part and bottom parts of harnesses have gone in as well. Centre tunnel's finally fitted. Got a trim to go around here that we're just in for powder coat at the moment. That's been done. So yeah, wheels and tyres have gone on. Again, same wheel and tyre. The gorgeous CXRs on there. 13-inch 205s on the rear. 185s on the front on this as well. You say the whole back end's pretty much done. And then the final fitments, the exhaust system's gone on this side. We've got the silencer, the link pipe, that's all gone on as well. So headlights fitted on, IVA spec ones. Again, it's an IVA spec car, and we just got to do the mesh grille in here. Once we've done the final fit, we'll bond in the honeycomb grille section in there as well. So yeah, looking, you know, I just can't wait to hear them fire them up. This is going to be a big boost. This is 230 horsepower plus. That's a standard 200, but I love the sound of the bike engine. This thing with the throttle bodies, I think it's going to be insane. So yeah, looking forward to the firing them up, and hopefully we should see that on the following week's video. Right guys, over here at Project Charles, Big Busa RLM, as we know, that's on here. We're in the final stages of this car, buttoning it up as well, but electrics and things like that. But bonnet is being fitted now. Joseph's actually fitting the nose cone. It's a newish style. It's the prototype one, the first one out of the batch. So the nose cone is going to fit in a different way. We're just going to show you now. So we've got riv nuts into the fiberglass side panels here, and 3 or 4 button heads on the side, which will make it quicker and easier to get it off. No more coming in from the top or the side here under the bonnet. You can actually just fix it from the sides, and no trimming of the side panels. It just slides on over. You don't have to pull the side panels in here. Normally we pull these sections in, like on this one here. We've got a crease inwards, whereas these are dead straight and it just slots over. And 3 or 4 button head screws, nice and clean, and tighten those up, and your nose cone fitted. So you can actually take it off pretty darn quick. So it makes a big difference. But also, we've been on with the electrics on this particular car, and she runs. So do you know what? Let's fire her up. Right, so RLM Busa, Charles's car here. We're going to go for the fire up, I think. So ignition on, digi-dash in here. That's all wired up. Fuel pump's running, etc. So we'll press the big go button. She's running. Which is great. It's the first little hurdle. It's got the MBE management on this, got our loom integrated into it. It's a temporary battery on there at the moment just to fire her up. So when we put the bulkhead on and everything else, we'll get the little race battery on it as well. And obviously it's got the flat shifter system on it with the solenoid in here and everything else. So a few little coolant lines to button up now and some other bits and bobs. But yeah, she'll start getting on to the final phases now. Plumbing in the electric water pump, just a wire for that and the last bits of plumbing. But yeah, she's all running, that's fine, and then it'll be dropped onto the ground probably in the next week, and then start doing geo and other things like that, and prepping for IVA and emissions and stuff like that. So yeah, sounds great. Engine, you know, what Busa doesn't really, but it's going to make some monstrous noise on track coming up soon for #Project Charles. Right, let's get into it. Let's get into the workshop, guys. We've got #Project Charles here. Again, wiring, boring stuff, fuel lines, fuel pressure settings we've been doing, new filter going on, etc. Getting all of this sort of dialed in now. Should be dropping onto the ground in the next sort of, probably by the end of the week. Dropping on. We've got quite a lot of projects going on as well. So drop it onto the ground and we start on geos and a few other bits and bobs. But yeah, it's coming together. You heard it on its first start the other week. So that's buttoning up those bits. So it's just fine fettling, making sure, checking for leaks then and everything else as well. So all the nose cone, as you know, has all come off again because we're just buttoning everything up. And we'll put the no nose cone back on, bonnet and all of that, etc. All the interior is pretty much trimmed out now. The steering wheel's all done. that's all in. It's just a few, we're getting into the final stages, I suppose, and it doesn't look like much changes each week on these cars because it's all little bits rather than bolting on big panels and engines and everything else, all the exciting stuff, all the little bits, but all those finer details that you need to do when you're building a kit. Yeah, over here at hashtag Project Charles, what we've been doing as well is sort of, these are really our IVA headlight bars and things like that because the new nose cone. We're going to be doing something different that we'll show you once we complete the build what we're going to do. That is an IVA bar that we've put in for the indicators, but it's mainly we're waiting for a sensor on this as well. So yeah, plumbing fittings and things like that, we've put all of these in ready for the catch tanks as well, which is the same as what we've got on hashtag Project Greg as well, with all the catch tanks and header tank battery trays and all that to go in. Once we're waiting, unfortunately, for this ECU, there was some sensors that we needed to pick up to link to our DigiDash and what is just stalled parts. Woo! The economy, what's going on? It's what's going on. Now it's all running and we've got it back up and done, and all the pedal shifts. This is running the flat shift system with the really nice machine billet paddles, etc. Full dry sump system, and our dry sump tank and RLM dry sump system on this. All the beautiful OBP polished aluminium parts in here. Indy R chassis this is, so it's a polybush chassis but with our Cortina geometry, billet front end, cross-drilled and grooved discs that are on there as well. And when you fire around, it's got the beautiful DD2 dash in here, black anodized switches in here, our branded FIA approved harnesses, billet pedal box, carbon stone glow protectors, LED light pack, and a full interior 50mm cage. Well, she's just getting prepped now, so it's a little bit of dialing in, getting it prepped and ready for its IVA. So for the next few weeks, we should have a date come back, and then we can get this over the line and out to the customer, which I'm really looking forward to. Be a nice little Christmas present. Right guys, we're here at RLM Racing. We've got the Indy R Hayabusa. As you know, we've been building this car over the last several months now. And we've got it on the, well, it's going to be strapping it down on the dyno today to see, well, get it dialed in, get it tuned in, get the flat shifter all dialed in and working as well in a safe environment, see what kind of numbers it is. We know it's going to be around the sort of 220, 230 horsepower number. So what we do now is head on, look inside, get some video action for you. Right guys, back from RLM is the Indy R with the RLM engine in. I hope you enjoyed the dyno. It sounds bang, 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 bang on that flat shifter. Amazing. So numbers, let's talk numbers. You probably see it on the graph that we showed you in the videos and that, but the final numbers, where was it at? Well, it's 219 point something, so 220 horsepower, but 127 foot-pound of torque. Now, when you're talking Gen 1 normally, is like 175 horsepower stock. That's a massive jump. So Rich and his team, as always, built an awesome engine. Customer's going to be super happy with that. We will get a little test drive done on this, of course, and it's going to go off for its IVA, so it's all been mapped as well and done. But with this is freaking crazy when that thing works. It's just on another level with that performance. Yeah, I can see why other customers have gone that route. Definitely, it's going to be an absolute track weapon. guys, out test drive. MK.
Do that when I'm in the car.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Yeah. Right guys, test drive MK Indy R Hayabusa RLM racing engine. As we know on the stats, this bad boy kicks out 220 of your finest brake horsepowers and 127 foot-pound of torque. So it's pretty hot. The only thing that ain't hot is the temperature today. It's freezing. Hence the crash helmet. It's freaking freezing. But I'm in here and I'm happy. Why? Because I'm driving a booster car. So what are the stats? Sub 500 kilo car, it's a polybush car, 50 wheel roll cage, 220 horsepower, 127 foot-pound of torque, RLM built engine, as I just said, seated cars on it, wheelwoods on the front, standards on the rear, but it's got a flat shifter with it. I'll show you what a flat shifter is. Full on, flat, gear changes, seamless. That's 6 gear. That's what's good about it. Totally flawless. Upshift, done. No problem, don't have to touch the clutch. Bury the throttle, away you go until you run out of road. Or track, or circuit, or talent. Probably talent in my case. There we go. It's got a slipper clutch in here as well, so it has got downshift on the auto clip, but it has got a slipper clutch, so I can gear change down and the clutch will help with all of that. So you can take, it just helps protect the engine and the gearbox and everything else. So you bury the throttle, we've got the DD2, I've got shift lights ready to come on. Nail it! Oh, that just doesn't old. That never gets old. Great, we've got the small 270 steering wheel here, sway one, billet pedal box in here, all going on, and it's a full-on track monster that you can use on the road. It's not, you know, designed for the road. You tend to, you know, cruising at 70 miles an hour, but you nail this sucker and he's gone. No question about it. Pretty easy to drive, to be honest, with the pedals, because it's up and down. You just press a, well, you can have a button or the pedal. It's got the bigger pedals, but you can do either. But I can just cruise along. Look, low speed, goes through the gears, no clutch legs are not even on it. Nice and simple, up to 6 gear, national speed limit, cruising along quite comfortably actually. Probably do this for quite a few miles. Wouldn't be a problem, really. Would I go to South of France in it? No, I'd have an RX5 for that, or a turbo on S2000. But would I want to go to drive to a track day in it and have a track day blast? Blinking right and all I would. Because it's mental. They're so good, these cars. With the lightweight, brakes are super good, gear change super slick. I mean, where can you get a free 6-speed sequential gearbox? Put that in a car engine, 6 grand's worth, 7 grand's worth of gearbox. Comes free with a bike engine. Couldn't be better, really. Best part about it. Best part about it. Oh, I love it. I love all these cars.